If you are on a tight budget, there's never been a better time to be interested in audio. The problem is there are so many choices for amplifiers under $200, it gets a little confusing. So today we're going to talk about my favorite amplifiers under $200 as of February 2025. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, maybe through your cheap Audioman coffee mug that you can get in the description, and let's talk about the best amplifiers under $200 that you can get right now in 2025. This first one is a bit of a stretch, but the reason why it's the first one is because this product is getting discontinued. There's one more shipment that's coming in, and after this one, there's going to be an upgrade. There's going to be a new one coming out, and it's going to be more expensive. This one is also marked down to $219. I know it's not less than $200, but sometimes there's a 10% off coupon, so technically it would get under $200, and that's the Emotiva A2 Mini. This is a Class AB amplifier, and it's going to be the only Class AB amplifier on today's list. As per the website, they are going to be shipping at the end of February, which is pretty much right now. This puts out 50 watts with 2 channels driven into an 8 ohm load, 90 watts RMS per channel into 4 ohm load. It also has a headphone amplifier section, which you can bridge to get full 50 watts of power to a headphone, but if you do that at your own risk because it could blow up your headphones. This is not a full rack size component, so it's a little bit smaller, but it is fairly deep. I think this amplifier sounds great. I think it's got a bit of a dynamic sound signature, that Emotiva yumminess with a bump on the bottom, a little sparkle on top. But if you're on a budget, I don't think you can do better than the Emotiva A2M Stereo Flex amplifier. Last chance to get this one. This next amplifier, I was really surprised about. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I ended up loving it. The problem is it's sold out just about everywhere except for AliExpress and I think eBay. I'm not super comfortable with AliExpress or eBay, but if you want to take the risk, then you can get it today. It's probably not going to ship from the US though. This, my friends, is the AIYIMA A80. It's a little amplifier with a DAC inside, and it has a screen, and you can put some cool stuff on the screen. Actually has some decent binding posts on the back. A lot of these amplifiers have really cheap binding posts on the back. But it has a 12 volt trigger in, so this can be turned on from another product, like maybe a Weem Ultra or something like that. Has a USB-C input, has an optical input, a coaxial input, a single set of RCAs, and a set of balanced TRS inputs. Also has an aux out for a subwoofer. I think you can control the input to your subwoofer with volume control on this, I think. Has the ubiquitous Texas Instruments 3255 chipset inside and can take up to a 48 volt power supply, which means you can get some decent power out of this. Also has a fairly cool design and an op amp inside that you can change out. I'm looking at AIYIMA's website right now, and it says it's expected to ship on February 28th. Price from them is $199.99. Has a ES9038 Q2M DAC chip inside. Comes with a remote control, also has Bluetooth. Also has the PFFB power feedback function. It's the latest iteration of the Texas Instruments 3255. You get more, I guess you get more balanced power amongst all the different frequencies. So it's better. They're putting this in all the new stuff. I think it's fun looking. It's got a ton of inputs, a ton of options, has decent build quality, and frankly, this is one of the best products that I've seen AIYIMA put out. It looks like that's without a power supply though, the $199 price. If you do get a power supply, it's coming in at $230, and I don't know how many volts that is. Oh, it says 48 volts. Not a bad deal to get a 48 volt power supply for 30 bucks. This, my friends, is the Fosi Audio ZA3. This is an amplifier, stereo amplifier, but it can also be bridged for just a single channel. And if you bridge it, then you're gonna get better channel separation, a little bit better power. On the back, you have balanced inputs as well as a single-ended input, as well as a subwoofer output, and the very cheap binding post. Doesn't really matter though. I like this thing a lot. I like the design. It's built very well, and again, you can change out the op amps inside. Also has some very nice toggle switches on the front. XLR, RCA, stereo, mono. I just like these. I think they're really good. I think this does sound a little bit better than some other 3255 chipset amps from Fosi Audio. I think this is more dynamic. I have no idea why. I think it's more dynamic than the V3 or the V3 mono. I would have to look inside and see if there's any design changes. Maybe it's all in my head, but I like this one. I like it a lot. I also like the matching DAC, the ZD3. Comes in about 160, but sometimes it goes on sale for 150, available on Amazon. This is an awesome amplifier from RSL. RSL is a US-based company. Now, this isn't made in the US, it's made in China. But you have the support, you have the customer service of American company. RSL also makes speakers and subwoofers. Their subs are awesome. Speakers, very good too. Very linear speaker though. And this one has some really cool functions, like a 90 Hertz high pass filter that you can turn on the back, which is great if you have small speakers. You have one single-ended RCA input. You have a subwoofer or a preamp output, a 3.5 millimeter analog output right there. And then you got your really cheap binding post, which is fine, it's fine. USB-C input as well as Bluetooth. This, I believe, is based on a Mirus chip, so you're not gonna get as much power out of the RSL IA255.1 as you will out of the Fosi Audio stuff or the IEMA stuff, basically any of the 3255 chipset amps. But what you do get is tone controls on the front and frankly a pretty good sound. I think this is a little bit more detail oriented than the 3255 chipset amps, but it's a great product, kind of flies under the radar, and I think it's $110, which is bananas from an American company. This little amplifier right here was a big, pleasant surprise. Has a removable glass top so that you can get access to the removable op amps inside. Also has something very interesting on the front. There's a high pass filter right here that can be adjusted from 30 Hertz up to 200 Hertz, which is really nice. Again, a 3255 Texas Instruments based amplifier. Get your volume over here. Now this is just an amplifier, so on the back you have one single-ended RCA input, but you also have an auxiliary output. I didn't know if the aux output was variable, but my buddy Ron over at New Record Day tested it out with a subwoofer, and he said as he turned up the volume, the level to the subwoofer also turned up. So I guess you can hook up a subwoofer to it. Pretty small compared to something like the ZA3, but I really think this is a very fun amplifier. And there's some dip switches in there. I did a full video on this and I got the dip switches wrong. The dip switches in there change the color of the LED on this thing so you can match it up to give you a little ambiance, a little RGB in your stereo. I love this thing though. There are some other options out there, even under $100, which I will talk about in another video. But since these products mostly have very limited inputs, a great product that you could put with it is the new Fosi Audio P4. I did a full video on this. This is a preamp. I will link that video right up here, so you should check it out because it's a really cool device. Has a remote control, motorized pot, all sorts of cool stuff. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. binge listen, maybe through one of your very capable, very affordable amplifiers under $200, and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.